Dear the West.
It shouldn't have to happen to you for it to matter to you.
Our Manifesto.
Manifesto.
A published declaration of the intentions, motives, or views of the issuer, be it an individual, group, political party, or government.
A published declaration rehumanizing the life of a refugee.
Refugee.
A person who has been forced to leave their country in order to escape war, persecution, or natural disaster.
A person
Who has been forced.
Forced.
Power, violence, compulsion, or constraint exerted upon or against a person or thing.
A person who has been forced to leave their home.
Home.
A safe haven and a comfort zone.
A place of safety.
Non è una crisi dei rifugiati, è una crisi umana.
We live in a world where terror has forced 59.6 million people to flee their homes. That is roughly the same number of people in Britain.
No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark.
We live in a country whose government has defunded search and rescue operations while the number of lives lost in the Mediterranean reaches 18,000.
Home is the barrel of the gun, and no one would leave home unless home chased you to the shore.
We live in a country that is ruled by people who have this year decided to close the door on unaccompanied children. Children who are desperate and alone.
You only run for the border when you see your whole city running as well.
We live in a country that has one of the lowest refugee acceptance rates in Europe.
Germany, 722,370. Italy, 123,432. France, 85,244. Britain, 38,517.
You only leave home when home won't let you stay.
Esta
Non
no
è
es
una
una
crisi
crisis
dei
de
rifugiati,
refugiados.
è una crisi umana.
Esta es una crisis humana.
Did you need a bag for that?
10p for a bag for life.
Excuse me, madam, do you need a bag today?
A bag for your belongings.
That'll be 10p, please.
10p for a bag.
I'll bet you 10p that bag will outlive a refugee.
Why buy a bag for life when life itself is so inexplicably temporary?
A plastic bag on average takes nearly 100 years to decompose.
That is 10 times longer than a human body takes.
A bag to outlive your life.
And her life, and his life, and their lives.
The transient existence of a person seeking refuge.
While they shiver, it is steadfast, and while they wither, it remains.
A bag in which this mother could fit all her belongings.
A bag which holds her life.
How many bags would it take to hold all your belongings?
10, 20.
Think. Count them.
Het is niet een
Non è una crisi
vluchtelingencrisis,
dei
de
rifugiati,
dit is een
è una crisi
menscrisis.
umana.
Esta es una crisis humana.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. 3 little piggies perched on a bench, eating their pudding and pie. When off far away they heard a voice say, "Will somebody answer our cry?" One says, "Dear brothers, they are daughters and mothers, they are husbands and sisters and sons. I know it's our country, but they're going hungry whilst running from terror and guns. Let's help them and hear them, not just disappear them. We cannot sit back while they die." Having ended his plea, sure they would agree, he waited to hear the reply. The 2 piggies, struck dumb, dismayed by their chum, could not understand his perspective. They took out a knife and ended his life, an action they felt was protective. How dare he suggest we're not doing our best with these wretches that flock to our shores? They're not our concern, and they'll have to just learn to stop starting these ludicrous wars. And with that, they smiled, their minds reconciled, their heads proudly held up high. With a grunt and a snort and no further thought, they polished off their pudding and pie.
Like children, we block our ears against the cries for help. We don't want to hear. It's a difficult noise. It keeps us up at night. So much shouting and so much silence remains. The newspapers age in an hour.
Het is niet een
Non è una crisi
vluchtelingencrisis,
dei
de
rifugiati,
dit is een
è una crisi
menscrisis.
umana.
Esta es una crisis humana.
An old man stared at a cloud. I looked at him smiling in the light of that cloud so peaceful, so far removed from desire and pain. I was jealous.
Dit is geen vluchtelingencrisis, maar een menselijke crisis.
Es una crisis humana.
The threat we face is not refugees. It is a politics devoid of empathy.
It is a collection, a civilization who value their lives more highly.
It is the threat of the unknown. But what could be more unknown than the open ocean where children sink to the floor and life jackets float to the shore? The threat we face is not people from another place, but people within our own country, making decisions, political divisions that lead to lifeless bodies being carried and buried by those with more compassion and dissatisfaction with the treatment of a person who could be their mother, who could be their friend, who at this point in time could be anyone including them.
It is luck. It is luck that your despair and safety are not separated by an ocean more vicious than a politician and more life-giving than the blood in your own body. It is luck.
And nothing more.
Dit is geen vluchtelingencrisis, maar een
To
menselijke
jest
crisis.
kryzys ludzkości.
Remember when the safety of your shores quickly became lifeless graveyards for lives that once were, and the place they dreamt of got taken away by a nation with such a great disregard for human life that they pledged to turn away a lone child looking for a better life.
Remember, no one leaves home unless home's already left, and that tear running down your face is the only water for miles, and that body that built your child is the only place left to call home. When home is a war zone.
War zone. An area marked by extreme violence.
The front line is just your life, and the theatre of war is an act of privilege.
An act in 5 parts, where the lead role tells the story of your life and looks into the eyes of 1,000 restless liars and says, "My whole city is burning and the water is cooling."
This is not a refugee crisis. This is a human crisis.
Ce n'est pas une crise de réfugiés, c'est une crise humaine.
Dit is niet een vluchtelingencrisis. Dit is een
Esto no es una crisis de refugiados. Esto es una crisis humana.
Hindi ito krisis ng mga nagkakanlong. Ito ay krisis ng
To
sangkatauhan.
nie jest kryzys uchodźców. To jest kryzys naszej cywilizacji.
Ce n'est pas une crise de réfugiés, c'est une crise humaine.
To nie jest kryzys uchodźców. To jest kryzys ludzkości. Dit is niet een vluchtelingencrisis. Dit is een menscrisis.
Non è una crisi dei rifugiati, è una crisi umana.
Aceasta nu este o criză a refugiaților. Aceasta este o criză a întregii
Dit is geen
umanități.
vluchtelingencrisis, maar een menselijke crisis.
Ce n'est pas une crise de réfugiés, c'est une crise humaine.
这不是一个难民的危机，这是整个人类的
Esta
危
no es
机。
una crisis de refugiados. Esta
This
es una
is
crisis
not a
humana.
refugee crisis. This is a human crisis.